everyone, it's Skylar. Welcome back to the channel. How are you all doing? I hope you do very well. Sitting here, but I will say this. Freaking hell, this week's top 10 Thursday list, and yet we are doing top 10 Thursdays, so I thought I'll get out the way. It was fucking hard, man. Honest to God, it was fucking racking my brain. I was like, whose wrestling moves do I do now, and do I don't know, and whose do I like and whose do I don't like? And I'm like, fuck. And I realised I do know quite a few wrestlers' moves, but I was like, do they deserve to be on my top 10 list? And like, I'm going to put this as a disclaimer as well. My favourites are not going to be yours. I know that for a fact. I know people are going to say, well, what about the one-winged angel, and what about the red arrow that Pac does, and what about the 450 splash and the buckshot lariat and all these other moves? And I'm like, no, because as much as they're talented wrestlers with good moves, these are my 10 and these are my favourites. And I don't know if I'll go into any details, and that's why I said I've got my own opinion on things, especially when it's to do with wrestling. I will always respect yours, so yeah. And I will say something. My number 5 is like, all I'll say it when I get to it, because my number 5, my number 2 and number 1 belong to the same person, so I will explain when I get there. So we're going to start with number 10, and that's Game Over, formerly known as The Accolade by Miro. I've said it in the favourite wrestlers. Camel Clutch has always been my favourite manoeuvre, and to have Miro do it and call it Game Over, it's just so badass. I do like submissions, so you will find some submission manoeuvres on here, and you'll just find some finishes and some not finishes, so just so you know. So number 9, I've put the Crossroads. Obviously it's Cody Rhodes' finisher, and just how he does it, like, he has the head there and then spins it around. So yeah, and don't forget, this is my top 10 favourite AEW wrestling moves. So these only belong to AEW superstars, but not from any other company. So yeah, and if anybody wants to do it, they're welcome to do a list. They can comment lists down below and do a video response to this. I don't care. So number 8 is the paradigm shift, or the paradigm shift, however you spell it, so bear with me, I'm not good at pronouncing certain finishers as well. So, and that of course is John Moxley's finisher. So yeah, I did put a John Moxley finisher in this, so you're alright. So number 7 is the GTH, which stands for the Go to Hell, which is Sammy Guevara's finisher. Like, that's why I said to you before, you're probably saying, well, why didn't you do like the 630 of Sammy's or the 450 splash? I actually like his finisher better, so it's just in my opinion. So yeah, number 6 is the Poison Karana by Jungle Boy. I don't know, I think with Jungle Boy it's like hit and miss for me. Like, I love a lot of his manoeuvres, but out of them all, I actually do like the Poison Karana. If it's pronounced like that, I'm sure it is, but I think it is the Poison Karana. So yeah, so that's Jungle Boys. So now we're getting on to number 5, so don't hate me when I say this, and this is every other wrestling manoeuvre besides the 2 main finishers that Wardlow does. And the only reason why I've put it down at number 5 is because the top 2 are gonna always be his and stuff like that. Because this is the thing, I love all his manoeuvres, what he does, but to put this on this list, I couldn't put and be like totally biased and go like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 all Wardlow's manoeuvres. Then that would be a bit too crazy. So that's why I put down the halfway, all his manoeuvres. That clothesline he does, the way he moves his hand and then does the clothesline, that's phenomenal. He does the shooting star press, swanton bomb. I could have added them up higher, but I thought my 2 favourite manoeuvres of him are always going to be number 2 and number 1, so I've kept it like that. So like, he has so much arsenal in his like system, and like people like fucking hate him, and I don't understand why. He's one of the best wrestlers they've got in the company, and I don't know why they're not using him as much. Yeah, I understand he's MJF's bitch. I know it's not a nice word to say, but he's MJF's bitch, like bodyguard. But he's better than MJF, and he fucking knows it. So like, oh, it just gets me angry. So I'm asking you, someone send this to AEW and say, please let Wardlow wrestle more, because I want to see more from him, because he's just the best wrestler ever. So yeah, enough of a little rants being said. So number 4, I've gone with the bromance, the other half of the bromance, which is Preston Vance, aka 10, and that's his spine buster. Now, I will explain this. I said this before in the other top 10 list with the favourite wrestlers, right? And Preston even liked my comment when I said this. His spine buster is better than Arn Anderson's, and I will say this, it is. And now he's basically put it out there, the spine buster is my finisher, and I'm made up, because this guy is very underrated in my opinion, and I love his stuff on BTE. He's done a few bits with Sammy Guevara, and at the end of the day, he needs to be used a lot more. Like, I'm gutted about what happened, that he didn't win and didn't go through to the Face of the Revolution ladder match. I was gutted about that, because he did deserve to win and he did deserve a push. So I hope that he does get more of a push in the future, and I want to see him in like great matches. I'd love to see him, and this is me being personally honest, I would love to see 10 of the Dark Order versus someone like Matt Hardy or Darby Allin. And I mean, that'll be a phenomenal match for him, because he deserves it. He's very underrated in my opinion, and I've got to put, if I was talking about wrestlers or anything to do with wrestling or to do with the movies, I have to talk about the bromance, because the bromance between him and Wardlow is the best in wrestling, pro wrestling today, by far none, and I love it, and we need to see more of that bromance. So BTE, Sammy Guevara, please put the bromance on, because we miss it. I want to see more of the bromance. So yeah, so it brings on to number 3, and it is of course the Judas Effect elbow by Chris Jericho. And you'll be like, question yourself, why is Chris on your list? Legend. That maneuver is phenomenal, and I could have put the Lion Salt on, I could have put the Walls of Jericho on, I could have put anything on, but to me, Judas Effect elbow is, I love that maneuver. So yeah, and as I said, Chris Jericho gets better with age. He's like a fine wine, he gets better with age. Well, actually, a fine little bit of the bubbly, as they say. So yeah, and I'm gonna go on to my number 2 now, because the number 2 maneuver of mine, I did speak about it as number 5, which is one of Wardlow's main maneuvers, but I call it a different name. He says, well, it's Mr. Mayhem, and I'm going to introduce them to my right knee. I'm like, like, that's an okay name, But in my opinion, right, and he also calls it the corner knee strike. This is what it should be called. So please tell Wardlow that Skylar says that this should be one of his finishing maneuvers. This is what it should be called. It should be called the knee strike knockout, because you fucking knock out everybody when you use it. And that's a fact. So, and I love it so much. Oh. So yeah, it should be called the knee strike knockout, because you knock every fucking bastard out. Literally. And that's why it's my number 2. But there's only one maneuver that surpasses every single maneuver at all. And it is, of course, my number 1. It is the F10. And it is, of course, Wardlow's finishing maneuver. But I will say this. I freaking love it. It's better than the F5. We all know it's a fact. But Wardlow should be using my finisher, the Awakening. Should fucking put them up on his shoulder and fucking knock them out, break their necks and all that shit. But that's my opinion. I should give him my finishing maneuver, and he can call it whatever the fuck he wants. But I don't care. Anyway, the F10 is my favourite maneuver of all time, and I just love it. And it will probably never ever change, unless Wardlow brings out a new finisher, which will probably may surpass that. So yeah, it's freaking awesome. So number 10 again is Game Over, which is Miro's finisher. 9, Crossroads, which is Cody Rhodes' finisher. 8, the Paradigm Shift, which is John Moxley's finisher. 7, the Go to Hell, which is also known as the GTH by Sammy Guevara. 6 is the Poison Karana by Jungle Boy. 5 is every other maneuver that Wardlow does, besides the ones I have for number 2 and number 1, so it's a bit of a spoiler alert. 4, the other half of the bromance, which is 10 of the Dark Order, Preston Vance, Spinebuster. 3, Judas Effect Elbow, which is Chris Jericho's. 2, the Corner Knee Strike, which is, but it should be actually be called the Knee Strike Knockout, because you fucking knock out everybody doing the finisher maneuver, which is Wardlow's maneuver. And of course, number 1 is the F10, which is Wardlow's finisher maneuver. Sorry if I'm a bit biased, but I'm always going to support my favourite wrestler, and I'm always going to love his favourite wrestling move. So yeah, that's my opinion. So yeah, hope you've enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. Turn that notification bell on. You'll get a brand new video from me very soon. And yeah, stay gory and have unpleasant dreams, and I will see you all soon. Ta-ta for now. Bye bye.